Have you ever faced those days where stress, overwhelm, or anxiety just seem to tag along? I know I have. And although I have been supporting people who experience stress, anxiety, and trauma all of my professional life, I was not always a trauma somatic therapist. My path started in a different way, as a police officer and detective within the police force. Spending 17 years as a detective, I investigated serious crimes, such as sexual assaults, home invasions, robberies, stabbings, and even murders. And during my investigations, I would create and hold space for victims and witnesses during their most vulnerable state. And I discovered the profound impact of trauma they experienced. A trauma that manifested into a haunting fear. A fear of the past and/or a fear of the future. I wanted to best support my victims and witnesses during those challenging days, whilst also fulfilling my duties as a detective. And it led me being interested in learning more about trauma. And so over the past decade, I have dived deep into learning about trauma and how it affects our nervous system. How our bodies can shift between different reactive states of fight, flight, freeze and fawn. And how our bodies can be stuck in those states when we believe a fear and/or experience a trauma. And it was during this journey that I discovered EFT, otherwise known as emotional freedom techniques or tapping, where you use the fingertips to tap on different meridian points that are located around your body. And what I discovered with EFT is how it supports your nervous system, how it can regulate your nervous system out of those fight, flight, freeze and fawn states, and how EFT can release fear and trauma trapped within your body. And so I started using tapping with my victims and witnesses, offering them a simple tool where they would tap on the side of their hand as they shared their story with me, supporting their nervous system as I took their statement. This then even extended to sharing subtle and discreet techniques of tapping that they could use as they gave evidence in court proceedings, providing them with a quiet source of comfort. And as I was supporting other people with their nervous system, with the support of tapping, especially on those challenging days, I came to acknowledge just how much I needed tapping for myself as well. I too experienced challenging days, experiencing my own stress, anxiety, bouts of depression, limiting beliefs, fear and trauma, not just during my service within the police force, but as the imperfectly perfect self as I am, as a mother of 4, a wife, a sister, daughter, friend. Tapping became my sanctuary, allowing me to respond rather than react to life's challenges, where I was able to acknowledge and witness my emotions rather than avoiding them. Tapping allowed me to go from just feeling like I was barely surviving each day to actively living my life to its fullest. We have this amazing power, quite literally, at the end of our fingertips. And it sounds too good to be true, right? That we have the power within ourselves to support our nervous system, especially on those challenging days, when we're experiencing the stress, the overwhelm, the frustration, the anger, the resentment, the guilt, without harming ourselves or others or resorting to numbing tactics. I wrote Foundations of Tapping, Inviting EFT and Other Tapping Practices into Your Life, a book that I wish had existed when I first delved into EFT in support of those challenging days. It is a resource for people who experience the stress, the overwhelm, or just the struggles of everyday life, allowing you to bring support to your nervous system as you meet and release your fears and traumas that does not re-traumatize you. Instead, exploring on how you feel, where you feel it, and how it is presenting within your life. The Foundations of Tapping allows you to explore how you can incorporate a bit of tapping into your everyday life. And it does also have a companion workbook attached for people who want to dive deeper through the layers of the tapping practices I share in Foundations of Tapping. The amazing thing about tapping is its ease of integration into everyday life. Here right now, there are people with their hands resting near tapping points. People who might have their arms crossed over, that your hands are near the underarm tapping point. People who have their hands resting near or around their mouth, that their hands are near the undernose and the chin tapping points. And the people who have their hands resting near each other or touching each other, that their hands are near the finger tapping points. So I'd love to introduce a small practice, only if you feel comfortable to do so, is to get the fingertips of one hand and to lightly tap on the side of the nail that is closest to your body, whichever hand you like, and just tapping on each finger. You can alternate your hands. You may even just use one hand. Perhaps you may do it while your hands are under the table. No one else knows that you're doing it. And if you don't feel comfortable to do the tapping physically or are unable to do the tapping, I invite you to imagine it. Because right now, you are incorporating a bit of tapping into your life. Our hands naturally gravitate to tapping points. So imagine the positive impact you can have on your nervous system, on your everyday wellness and well-being, especially on those challenging days, by using tapping. If you or anyone you know is experiencing a challenging day, then Foundations of Tapping is the book for you. Thank you.